All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's time once again for the ASBA live Facebook update. With me, as always, are my trusty companions, Lee and Gabe. We're going to go ahead and recap this week's action and preview next week, and then send you into your weekend. So, Gabe has an update on timeline, as always. Gabe, how are we doing?
Well, it looks like we still have 3 more weeks for bills in committee. There are still 104 bills kicking that we're keeping track of. That's down quite a bit from the original 238, and I'll give it back to you.
Oh, well, thanks. Yes, 104. That number will dwindle further, but by the time session's over. But we got 3 weeks to see what makes it. So just a couple of key bills that we were tracking this week. The first one, the most well-known, of course, is Senate Bill 1083, having to do with recess. For those of you who haven't been paying attention, it requires 2 recess periods per day, grades K through 5. Lunch can be one of those, so it's like 1 additional recess, grades K through 5. It passed committee, and if it's unamended from this point, if it passes the full House, it'll go straight to the governor's desk because unless the House changes it, Senate already voted it out. So that's where we're at on that. Senate Bill 1392 is our next battle. It's a transaction privilege tax on digital goods and services. Think like Netflix, Hulu, but it goes a lot farther than that in terms of rewriting the tax structure for those types of things. A lot of those things are taxed already by cities and towns, meaning that they bring revenue to the state. The state's revenue is almost 1/2 sales tax. So the way this bill works, any sort of things in the future that are cloud-based would potentially be untaxable. And the more things move that way, the less tax revenue the state would collect. We view it as a big problem. So does the League of Cities and Towns, because we don't know. Literally, the Joint Legislative Budget Committee put out a fiscal note that says there's an impact to state general fund. We don't know how much. And the bill's been on the fast track, and we think that's a problem. Shouldn't implement tax reform like that without knowing what it's going to cost you, especially when you're in the business of funding schools. So that's where we're at on that. We're opposed. We're working with members to keep that resistance up. The last one, big this week, Senate Bill 1467. That's President Yarborough's bill on school tuition organizations. Originally, it had capped the aggregate amount of corporate contributions for school tuition organizations. The Democrats didn't go along with that. It would have, because of the other things that are in the bill, it would have required a 2/3 vote. So they were sort of bottling it up because they didn't like the other provisions. Well, this week they just went ahead and stripped that out. So now it's just a simple majority vote, pass it out of the Senate. Now it goes on to the House. It's an minor expansion of eligibility for STOs, but we are opposed because our natural stance is no expansion of STOs. So those are the 3 big ones this week. And Lee's going to recap committee action and get you a preview of next week.
So this week, the big bills we dealt with were recess, as Chris said, as well as House Bill 2460, which is the bill that requires public schools to not refuse an offer to sell or lease land to a charter or private school. So we're obviously opposed to that. There's a difference between competition and forcing competition in your backyard. So that passed out of committee. We'll keep following that, see where it goes. And then next week we have Senate Bill 1255 in the House. That was teachers' alternative performance evaluations, which we liked. That was the one that made the quicker cycle for alternative performance evaluations. If a teacher had 3 good ones, then they can go on kind of a fast track, which saves the burden for school districts. So we're happy about that. As well as House Bill 2435, which is the ELL bill that breaks up that 4-hour block, reduces it to 2 hours. So we'll be watching those and update you guys what happens there.
All right. Yep. We're getting down to the good stuff now. So we will report back on those. Keep working on your, keep watching your email, and we'll provide you an opportunity to weigh in here in a little bit on Senate Bill 1392, which could come up as early as Monday. So that's the tax bill. So we will keep you informed as always, and hope you have a good weekend. Gabe, got anything?
Nope.
All right. Good deal. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
This is like cream of wheat. What? I don't even know what this is.
It looks like what I used to feed my like worms. It looks like mealworm. What I used to when I was a child that had like creepy pets. We raised what are they called, mandukas. That were like little worms that would turn into were adorable. Then they'll get to huge fat worms, and they're turning these giant scary moths.
This is like dry cream of wheat cereal or something.